Reading Challenge, Day 7, Everyday Vocabulary Focus. You made it. This is the final day of our 7-day reading challenge, and today's genre of vocabulary is everyday vocabulary, words that you would use when exploring different places or participating in fun activities. Today's activity is an outdoor one, so let's get started. But please remember, our goals when reading these stories are to recognize vocabulary, pronounce it, and most importantly, try to be sure how it's most commonly used in the English language. Okay. Summit dreams. The crunch of gravel beneath Nora's boots echoed in the still morning air. She tightened the straps on her backpack and took a deep breath, staring up at Mount Whitney's towering silhouette. At 14,505 feet, it was the tallest peak in the contiguous United States, and her goal for the past year. "Ready for this, Nora?" asked her hiking partner, Malcolm, his face weathered from years of climbing. "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied, adjusting her hat to shield her eyes from the rising sun. She'd been training for months, running trails, hiking smaller peaks, and strengthening her endurance. But this was different. Mount Whitney loomed like a giant, daring her to try. The two had started their journey the day before, weaving through Lone Pine's dusty trails and the soft curves of the Whitney Portal. It was a beautiful but grueling climb. Last night's camp at Trail Camp was colder than expected, and the thin air had stolen more than a few hours of sleep. Now, as they ascended toward the summit, the trail turned steeper and rockier. The infamous 99 switchbacks stretched before them, a relentless zigzag up the granite face. "You don't have to do it all at once," Malcolm said, as Nora paused to catch her breath. He'd been her mentor throughout this journey, always emphasizing the power of pacing and persistence. "I know," she said, her voice steady but determined. "One step at a time." That mantra carried her through the morning as the sun climbed higher, casting golden light across the rugged landscape. The air grew thinner with every step, making her head feel light and her chest tight. At one particularly steep section, her legs trembled. "You okay?" Malcolm asked, his hand resting on his trekking pole. "Yeah," she said, though she wasn't entirely sure. She looked down at the trail they'd already covered. It seemed impossibly far below. "Remember why you're here," Malcolm said. Nora nodded, thinking back to the promise she'd made to herself a year ago after her brother's death. Climbing Mount Whitney was a way to honor his memory. He'd always been the adventurous one, pushing her to explore beyond her comfort zone. "I've got this," she said, forcing a smile. As they approached the final stretch to the summit, the jagged rocks seemed to shimmer in the thin air. Each step was a test of willpower, her breath coming in shallow gasps. And then, suddenly, there it was, the summit, a small, flat expanse with a metal register box bolted to the rock. Nora stumbled onto the peak, her legs burning but her heart soaring. The world stretched out before her, an endless sea of peaks and valleys bathed in sunlight. "We did it," she whispered, tears welling up. Malcolm clapped her on the back. "No, you did it. I was just along for the ride." Nora took out the small notebook she'd carried with her, a collection of her brother's sketches. She flipped to his drawing of Mount Whitney and placed it in the register box. "This is for you," she said quietly. As they started the long descent, Nora felt lighter, despite the weight of her pack. The mountain hadn't just tested her endurance, it had reshaped her spirit. Sometimes, she realized, the greatest heights are reached not by climbing, but by remembering what grounds you. All right, you completed the 7-day challenge. Congratulations, you did it. I hope that you have gained more familiarity with English words, and I hope you've developed a small habit, maybe an expectation for reading every day. I do plan to have something available for you to read tomorrow, so please look out for another video. And thank you for joining Vibing with Vocab. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the channel.